enjoyed your break. So today is going to be a brief meeting, maybe 1 hour, because there's defense happening or starting around 9 a.m. and I need to be part of, the defense. So today we won't go beyond 1 hour. At exactly 8:50 thereabout, we'll end the meeting. So if there are questions, in fact, today happens to be the mid-semester week. It should have been last weekend, but because of the Easter break, we couldn't do it. So right after our meeting, the mid-semester question will come your way. Um, right after the meeting, probably around 10, 11 a.m., you'll see your mid-semester question available on the LMS. So that is the update I have for you. But if there are questions, if there are comments from the class before I start, we can go ahead and, ask the question in the next 20 seconds. If there are questions or comments or something that require my attention, kindly feel free to say it, please. Okay, so today we are looking at estimating costs and prices. Estimating costs and prices, that is Unit 4, meaning we are left with, I think, 2 more topics, and then we'll be done for the first part of business needs 1. And these are the objectives. But before we go into today's topic, I think during the last meeting, we looked at specifications, and we saw how important specifications are in procurement. So we defined specification, and I said that basically a good specification serves 2 major purposes. Can you tell me one of the purposes for a good specification? When we talk about specification, it is the statement of needs. And I said that it serves 2 major purposes. And I mentioned those purposes during the last time. But I want to find out if you remember the 2 purposes I mentioned. Yes, so if you know, just show by hand. Class, are you with me? Procurement level 200. I don't know. What's the problem this morning?
Sir, please answer the question
Hello,
again.
class.
Sir, the question again.
Okay, so the question is, in explaining specification, I said that it serves 2 major purposes. Once a specification is drafted or designed, it serves 2 major purposes. And I want you to tell me those 2 purposes. So that is the question. Oh, you still don't get it. Okay, Eunice, go ahead. Eunice, go ahead, please. Unmute your microphone, please, Eunice, before Ni Mancha will come. Eunice, go ahead. Okay, Ni.
So it helps bring clarity, and then the issue of ambiguity is dealt with.
Okay, thank you, but that is not what I mean mentioned.
Okay.
Yes. Rachel, please go ahead. Rachel,
Alex, go and sit down.
Rachel, go ahead. Unmute your microphone, please.
Can you hear me already?
Ye-
Sir, about
Yes. Go ahead.
the function and how well it performs.
Mm-hmm.
The function and non-function also.
Hey,
No, how well it performs.
how
And
well it is.
yes.
Okay, but that's not what I'm looking for. Emmanuel.
So, sir, for the specification, one of it is to clearly define the buyer's requirement.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So that is what I mentioned, that once a specification is drafted, first it defines what the purchaser or the buyer, wants to procure. And then there's another side. There's another side. So that is the first purpose. So these are the two major purposes of what a specification. What the purchaser or the buyer wants to procure. And then two, what is expected of what the provider or from the supplier. Okay, so you send the specification, and the specification communicates your expectation. And then the expectation is what the purchaser actually expects from the provider. Okay, so it communicates the wishes of the purchaser to the provider. And at the same time, what is expected from the provider. So these are the two major purposes of what? A specification. Types of specifications. I said that they are, but if you want to communicate your statement of need to a provider, you can use so many ways. Okay, and then I gave a number of examples. And apart from that, the basic types, I remember I mentioned where specification. I also mentioned performance specification. Okay, so these are the basic types. And I remember I said that the purchaser determines the type they want to use. In fact, the type or types that will help you communicate Okay, so you can use just a type, you can use a combination of types. And apart from what I mentioned, I said that there's also another form known as what? Conformers. So basically, from the basic types, we can have two major types of specification. We have the conformance specification, and then we have what we call the performance specification and the conformance. And I said that when we talk about conformance, it is what? Extreme technical specification. It's a technical specification, but it's strictly technical. And I remember mentioning that most entities prefer performance over conformance. The reason is that in trying to develop technical, not every individual can actually do that. Okay, so that is why most entities, in most cases, use performance because it is somewhat onerous to come up with what? A conformance specification. And then the last question, I said that in drafting your specification, it is always better to avoid the use of brand names. Can you give an explanation to this assertion why it is important to avoid the use of what? Brand names when specification is being developed? Mr. Ando, go ahead. Sumo Ando.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
My understanding is that when you give a brand name, then it automatically means you are avoiding competition. An example is you need a pickup car. There are so many companies that produce pickups. But if you specifically mention that I need a Toyota, then it means you are only inviting Toyota for the bidding, and all the other car companies are not going to participate in the bidding because we are not Toyota companies. So this is how I can explain that. I don't use brand names in your
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Because it's competitive tendering. Is the case. Once it means that you have defeated that principle. Okay, because competitors in terms of pricing, in terms of the why we need to avoid the use of brand names. Even in public procurement in Ghana,
Hello, sir.
support
Hello,
competition.
sir.
Okay,
Hello, sir.
Emmanuel, go ahead.
Sir, if you can position yourself a bit because we barely hear you. It's like your line is breaking.
Wow. Okay. I think the network is terrible this morning. It's very terrible. I tried using the Vodafone. It wasn't connecting. The MTN is terrible. I don't know from my side. Uh, so let me see. Okay, so I don't know if it's better now. The
Yes, sir.
signal,
It's okay.
the signal is still down. it's still down here. So that is that for, I mean, what we did, I think 2 weeks ago. So like I mentioned, we will be looking at prices and costs generally, but it's going to be a brief one. It's going to be a brief one because the next 30 minutes or so I have to join the master's defense. Okay, so price is not new, but we have heard of the term price or prices on countless occasions. Now, let me ask, what is price? When you say price, what comes to mind? Can you tell me what we meant by price? The price is this. The price of the commodity is this. The price of the product is this. What is price? Yes, price. Okay, Emmanuel, go ahead.
Okay, sir, thank you. So price is an amount of money paid or an exchange, paid in an exchange of something of good and service. Yeah, as an exchange, an amount of money paid in an exchange for goods and services, basically.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Wisdom, you want to?
So, hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's a value placed on an item or a work done equivalent to the item or the work done.
Hey, okay, this is internet aided. I got you. This is internet aided definition. Anyway, that was a good one. Okay. Hey, Madam Opare, go ahead. Miriam Opare, go ahead.
Sir, please. Price is an amount of money, goods or service exchange to acquire something.
Okay. So that is very true. But the final one from Nita, me.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. I was struggling to hear you initially, but it's clear now.
Oh, okay. We thank God.
Yeah. So, sir, a price can be defined as what you pay for a service, for the purchases of goods, or a performance done by an entity or an individual.
Wonderful. So you are all correct. Okay, because once a product has a price, it means that if you want to get access to the product, the compensation the ultimate beneficiary gives to the owners of the resource is what we term as what? Price. First of all, the product or service does not belong to you and you want to use it. So once you want to use it, you need to compensate the owners of that product or service. And that is what we term as what? Price. But once you see price, there are components of it. Okay, they are components. Component in the sense that the cost of producing the item is part of the price. The profit margin is also part of the price, as well as taxes. So price generally is not straightforward. It's a combination of other factors that sum up to what we term as what? Price. That notwithstanding, to be able to say that this is the price of a product. This is the price of a service. There are a number of factors that affect the determination of price. The factors can be grouped into 4 major headings. We have what we call the product cost, market consideration, strategic consideration, value to the customer. So all these may influence or affect prices of goods and services, in the market, all these. So we'll go into the factors one after the other. So factors affecting price decisions. Don't forget the cost of producing the item or the product cost. There's what we term market consideration. There's what we also classify as what strategic consideration, and then value, perceived value to the customer. Now, pricing in nearly all types of business is affected by what economists call the price mechanism. The price mechanism, which is the theory of supply and demand. So there's something we call forces of demand and supply. Okay, all things being equal, there are forces operating. In fact, that is how it's supposed to be done. Okay, so the forces of demand and supply will eventually determine how much consumers pay for or suppliers take for the product they have offered for sale. So there is the notion of an equilibrium price, which proposes that at the equilibrium or market price, exactly the same quantity is both demanded and supplied. So the forces will interact, and as a result, they will be able to achieve what we call equilibrium position. So when equilibrium is achieved, quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. At that point, there are no excesses, there are no shortages. And this can only be achieved when the forces of demand and supply are at work. So here, there are no influence coming from anyone apart from the forces of demand and supply. So there's something we call an invincible hand. There's a hand operating in the market. You don't really see the hand. And that hand is known as what? The forces of demand and supply. So once it works perfectly, it will lead to what we call equilibrium position. So equilibrium position is achieved when quantity demanded is the same as quantity supplied. Okay, so that is how it's supposed to be done. And this works perfectly in what we call a perfect competitive market. That notwithstanding, you should also understand that it's not easy to achieve what we call a perfect competitive market, where the forces of demand and supply work freely. So sometimes a buyer may have control over the happenings in the market. Sometimes the supplier may also have control. So once it happens like that, we don't see equilibrium position being achieved. Okay, so now let's look at the factors once again: competition and market consideration. So the extent of competition can range from one supplier in the case of monopoly to many suppliers in the case of perfect competition. competition and market consideration is a major determinant of factor influencing prices of goods and services. So in the case of monozony, where there could be many suppliers of certain product or services, there may be only one buyer. So this situation may influence the price or the prices of goods and services to shift to a particular direction, unlike when there is what? A perfect competition. Today, many buyers believe that unnecessary costs can be driven out of the price if buyers and suppliers can work closely together in a partnership. Working together, they can drive out unnecessary costs throughout the supply chain, both upstream and downstream. But is it easy to work together as buyers and suppliers? So let's look at this. I said that the level of competition may affect it. The competition ranges from monopoly to duopoly to monopolistic competition, perfect competition, monozony, and the rest. Okay, so when there's only one supplier, but there are so many buyers, what would this situation influence? How will it influence prices of goods and services? Can somebody tell us? And I'm talking about monopoly. When there's one supplier of a good and there are so many buyers, what will be the impact of this on prices of goods and services in the market? Can somebody tell us? Mr. Andorf, someone.
So when there is monopoly, when there are so many buyers, one supplier, the supplier may tend to increase the price of the goods because it has so many people buying and saying the price will be determined by the vendor or the supplier.
Okay.
He said.
I don't know. I think your line was, but I think, I mean, your point is well made. Frida,
Sir,
good.
please, the price of the particular goods will go a bit higher and there will be limited stock because he's the only supplier.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Krabo.
Yes, sir. I think my sister has said it. There will be a significant power imbalance. So the seller will always control the price. He will be the price maker and he will control it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that is what you said. So the sellers will be what? Making prices. And once somebody is making prices, obviously they will make prices to their advantage. Okay, so monopoly market is quite difficult to, manage because one party has huge influence in that particular market and they will continuously make prices to their advantage. And then the situation is not the same when we have what we term as what? Perfect competition. Many suppliers, same product. So in this market, what will happen? What will be the influence of this situation on prices of goods and services? Perfect competitive market or perfect competition. Can somebody tell us? Perfect competition. Yes, Mr. Dalcom.
So I think that when there is perfect competition, there's fair advantage in the market. At the same time, too, prices are created fairly. Um, both there's a win-win situation for both the suppliers and the banks. But I think that the one that wins the most is the bank, because they make the prices more affordable since there are so many suppliers of the same product on the market.
Mm. Okay, so you were making a point, but I don't know, because of the network, it was difficult for me to, get your point. Let's see if Mr. Dai be able to, I mean,
Yes,
see
sir.
clearly what you wanted to, say. Go ahead,
So
Emmanuel.
for the perfect competition, it is when firms sells identical products, and also there is free exit and free entry.
Mm-hmm. No, so in this case, what will be the impact of this situation on prices of goods and services? That is the question.
Oh, that is the question.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. So the impact. Okay, so I'll come back. Let me
Okay.
think about this.
Okay. Marian, go ahead.
I think with a perfect competition, it's where there are many suppliers and many buyers. So it makes price comes down. If you bargain for what you want. If your money is able to purchase the thing that you want to buy, then you go in for that. That's what I think. Say.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so the final one, Mr. Somwa. Okay. Nathan. Hey, Nimanche, go ahead. Nimanche.
Yeah.
Nimanche.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, prices most of the times in this kind of situation is driven by the buyer, because there are a
Hey,
lot of
perfect competition.
yes. When there is a perfect competition in the system,
Mm-hmm.
it means a lot of people are competing to produce, similar product or product in same nature. And
Okay.
because of that, suppliers are able to buy from different sources. From supplier A or supplier B, they can get the product. In fact, buyers get they get a greater hand in the kind of prices that are on the market. So prices are stable some way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, sir.
Okay. So well, thank you, Nimanche. Nathan.
Sir, if you can repeat the
Yes,
question
sir.
again.
Yes, sir. So, sir, with this one like this, because many suppliers say product, the issue about quality will come in, because even though the products are available, buyer power will come in, and then they will look at quality aspect of the product.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Somwa, last one. Last one. I want to, yes,
In a
come in.
situation like this, so in a situation like this, I think the price will be relative in the sense that since there are so many suppliers producing the same product, buyers may like all of vendors or suppliers that can give them incentives or discount on the product. And then afterwards services, maybe if they are producing air conditioners and the same type of horsepower, everything, the same suppliers, and they tend to follow a supplier that can sell to me at an affordable price, and then we add other discount or we add other additional services. Maybe every 3 months I'll come and services for you. Buyers may tend to go to that supplier than a supplier that will sell just at the price without adding any discount for additional services. So I think
Okay.
that's how.
Okay. Okay, so I said the last one, but I'm seeing Stephanie. Stephanie, because it's your first time in class this semester,
Hey,
say
so I'm
something.
coming to class soon.
Say
Okay,
something before you die.
yes, so with the perfect competition market,
Mm-hmm,
the prices are fair, unlike the monopolistic market or the monopoly market where it is just one person producing one commodity and then
mm-hmm,
decide what to do with the price. This time there are lots of suppliers, and so
mm-hmm.
the prices wouldn't be outrageous like how the monopolistic market or the monopoly market would be. Yes, so the prices are fair and then not too outrageous.
Yeah, okay, okay. Hey, I said last one. Okay, Jackson. Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, sir.
Jackson. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. So with the perfect competition, I can see that the demand and then the supply are the same, so the price will reach equilibrium.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, wonderful. So that is the point. Once we talk about perfect competition, here the supplier, no, the buyer does not have absolute control. Okay. So here the forces of demand and supply operate without any form of interference. So the market is operating freely. So in that case, equilibrium will be achieved. And I think one of the speakers said that with perfect competitive market, there's one of the characteristics of is what identical product or services identical. So you can't separate companies A product from companies B. So you ask yourself, what would be, I mean, the point for a supplier to switch, maybe move from supplier A to supplier B? There's nothing because the products are identical. But the interesting thing is, when we talk about perfect markets, you don't really see them in real life. They only happen, exist in books. You don't really see a perfect market, in real life situation. It doesn't really happen. You only read about them in books. Okay. But assuming it happens, assuming we have a market like that, and that is the market, the ideal market, that is the market everybody wants, especially buyers, especially suppliers. We want a perfect market. But we live in this world. It is difficult to have a perfect market. So there are other options. Okay, so we can have what we call monopolistic competition. And that is very common. Monopolistic competition. And sometimes the market or a type of market or a product will have a feature, a characteristic of what? A monopoly market. So as a procurement person, before you procure, you need to evaluate the type of competition of the product. So that's why I said that as our quest to minimize procurement costs, we need to avoid procurement methods that are likely to increase the value of procurement. The cost of procurement. And I mentioned methods like sole sourcing or single source procurement or reactive procurement. Because when you find yourself in that tight situation, you dance to the tune of what? The provider. Okay. Meanwhile, if you had planned your procurement ahead, you know potential suppliers. Sometimes you know that the suppliers, the best suppliers, are not even operating in your the reduction, you need to go outside. And that is where global sourcing will come in. Okay, but sometimes you wait till the very moment the item is needed. And in that case, you will not have the luxury of what? Sourcing or going to the global market. You'll be limited to a very small market. And that will increase the procurement cost. So procurement without competition, in most cases, increases procurement cost. So we need to look at that. So that is the first thing we just looked at. The level of competition in the market will influence the prices of goods and services. And then from there, there's what we call price and perceived value. Another factor in pricing decision is how customers value the offering. The supplier's market offering may include, in addition to the product itself, such things as reliability, durability, good service, prompt delivery, among others. So perceived value pricing is based on customers' perception of relative value rather than on cost. Perceived value. So sometimes these suppliers or manufacturers are aware of the kind of value consumers have for their product. And they will price their products based on that perception. Perceived value. So now I can mention two products. Maybe iPhone, Techno. Look at these two products. Let's assess the kind of value we consumers have given to these two products. I don't want an answer from you, but in your mind, you know that this product is quality than this, even though we are not quality experts. But that is the kind of value. And I'm saying that the manufacturers or suppliers are aware of the kind of value we have given to their product. And therefore, it influences how much they price such products. So anytime the value is perceived to be high, it goes with what? The high price. Anytime it is low, it goes with low prices. Okay. So I don't know if I mentioned to you, when I was in secondary school, my former secondary school, anytime you go to the mini mart, there was this seller there. We call it Mami Bisa. Mami Bisa. So even if you had 1 cedi, 2 cedi, and you went to this woman, you get some. However, that is not the quality we wanted, but the last resort. So that was our perception of that food joint on campus. Mami Bisa. So if there are other rice sellers on campus, there's no way we go to that woman. You only go there when the others are not there or when our money cannot afford other joints. So that is the value. So this also influences the prices of goods and services. And then the third one has to do with what? Cost of production. Cost of production. So to be able to produce any goods, you need resources or factors of production. So once the inputs or the resources needed to produce any good are high, it will ultimately affect the final price of the product. Because manufacturers are not charity organizations, they are business people. So if the cost of producing an item, for instance, is 10 Ghana cedis, you don't expect supplier to sell their final product lower than the 10 cedis. Okay, so assuming there are two suppliers or manufacturers, they are all producing similar or same product. However, one is producing the item for, let's say, maybe one product. The cost of producing one product is 10 cedis. The other is the cost of producing the item is 15 cedis. Obviously, in determining the final price, it will show somewhere, because the one that incurred, let's say, 10 cedis cost of producing the item, if the person decides to even sell the item for 10 cedis, why? Because 10 cedis may be a break-even point. The person or the supplier may even add 2 cedis, 3 cedis, or even 5 cedis. And it will still be cheaper than the one that produced the item for 15 cedis. Because to be able to make some profit, he or she will add something to it. So even if the person is adding 1 cedi, the profit margin is just 1 cedi, but the cost of producing the item was 15 cedis. So now the final price will appear higher than the other supplier. So the cost of producing the item will also influence the price. So the higher the cost of production, the higher prices of goods and services. And then the opposite is also correct. And then the final one has to do with what we call strategic consideration. Strategic consideration. So sometimes a supplier may sell at a loss. It's not because the product is inferior or substandard. It is for strategic reasons. The reasons may include: one, to clear stocks, to price out competitors, or maybe to gain a toehold in a new market. But in general, prices must cover overheads and profit. Okay, so not all cheap products are substandard products or inferior products. Some are for strategic reasons. Okay, so if you want to penetrate into any market, new markets, you may have your own strategy. Sometimes you want to enter with a special force, and you want people to, perceive your product as quality, because from where we sit, a product that has high prices are equivalent to high quality. That is what we know. Because 2-3 years ago, there was this school I wanted to enroll my worth in. I went to the school. The owner said that, oh, I came from the UK, and in fact, I brought all my investment to establish this school. And this is how much I'm charging. So I told her that, madam, look at this community. How many people can afford your school with this fees? She said, no, this is how I want people to, perceive my school. Everything here is on point. In fact, I went to their washrooms, classrooms, the environment, everything was on point. However, the price was extremely high. I couldn't afford. that school. Even though it was a new school, but that was their strategy because they didn't want anybody at all to come to that school. But some schools will start with the minimal fees. Why? Because they want to penetrate. And then they will escalate the fees gradually. Others want to start on a very high note. If you can't afford, stay away. Even if you are getting 3 students, that is fine because that is our status. So these are the 4 major reasons or factors that may affect prices of goods and services. And as a procurement person, you need to understand these factors. And you need to know that to the supplier, when we say a good price, it is not the same as the buyer. A good price to the supplier is not the same as a good price to the buyer. So from what we have done so far, what is a good price to the buyer? This is a question to the class. What is a good price to the supplier? And then again, what is a good price to the buyer? And I want a very good answer. A good price to the buyer. A good price. When a supplier says it is a good price, what does it mean? When the buyer says it is a good price, what does it mean? Emmanuel Adai. Go ahead. Unmute your microphone, please.
Hello, sir. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So when we say a good price to the supplier, it means it allows the supplier to recover production cost and also earn profit fairly. A fair profit. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Mr. Somoa. Unmute your microphone, please. Okay. Okay, so that is a good price to the supplier. What about a good price to the buyer? When the buyer says it is a good price, what does it mean? Stephanie. Hey, first time. Go ahead.
Okay, so sir, a good price to the buyer means that looking at the prices in the market, this price of a commodity is relatively lower than the normal prices in the market, and so to the buyer, the price is good.
Okay, to some extent. Me manche. Polish what Stephanie said. Polish it.
So I want to add that it is the one that will be able to offer value for money to the buyer.
Wonderful. 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 So that is the answer. Value for money. So before a buyer gets onto the market, he or she has a budget. Okay. So I'm going to the budget with 100 Ghana cedis. I want to buy A, B, C, D. And then these are the qualities. This is what I'm looking for. If at the end of the day, I got there, I was able to buy, let's say, just one. I bought A, I couldn't buy B, C. Then there's a problem. There's a problem with it. Okay, so the buyer is looking at what? The budget. The budget. So you don't just get up and buy things or procure things. You analyze the market, you assess the market, and then you go to the market with a budget. So at the end of the day, you're supposed to work within your budget. And that is what will constitute a good price to the buyer. Okay, you don't want to go beyond your budget and at the same time achieve the value they anticipated value. So that's why I said So you enter the market, these two major players, the buyer, supplier, they are all operating in the market, but they have different mindsets. They have different mindset. So let's quickly go back to this and you see things. Look at this. Assuming the price decreases below the P, what will happen? Slightly below the P. Can you tell me what will happen? Here, there's a equilibrium price. The buyer is interested in lower prices. The supplier is interested in higher prices. So assuming through their interactions, the price decreases below P, comes down below P, what will happen in the short term? What will happen in the long term? Can somebody tell me? It's difficult because this is a virtual meeting. What will happen if, do you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir.
yes, so if the price decreases from P, it drops down, what will happen? Look at this situation and tell me. What will happen in the market in the short term, in the long term? What will happen? Just tell me, look at it and tell me something. Meaning, there's going to be a disequilibrium because at that point, the moment the price decreases and you are moving to the curves, you first of all meet the supply curve before the demand curve. Do you see that? If the price decreases and you
Yes,
are
sir.
moving from the price axis to, the quantity axis, you first of all meet the supply curve before the demand curve. So in that situation, what will happen? Okay, let me see if there are hands here. Okay, Miriam, go ahead.
So if price moves down, there will be
Decrease.
increase in demand. So quantity
Demanded.
quantity demanded will be high.
Okay.
Therefore,
Compared to
compared to the distance to the equilibrium compared to the table,
okay.
prices will go down. Demand will be high, and production too will come to a standstill.
Hey, Miriam. But today, tell me, what did you eat yesterday? Today you are talking. Oh.
I just drank to you.
Hey, really? That's nice. Okay, so that is correct to some extent. Let's get more Mike Yodako before Nimanche.
Yeah.
Niman.
So
Yes.
I think that there will be disequilibrium because when the prices go down, there will be more product on the market with lesser buyers.
Mm.
And yes, even though price has gone down, buyers will be interested in probably purchasing more. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about equilibrium, it means that the ratio of product and then buyers, they are meeting at the same point.
Okay.
There's perfect market over there. But this time, prices have gone down. There's more product on the market. But demand does not necessarily increase at that particular point in time.
Hey, Mr. Dako, you are trying to confuse us, but in fact, it won't happen. Okay, Nimanche.
Okay, I want to continue from where my sister left off, Miriam.
Okay.
So I'm going to add maybe bread and some vegetables to her tea to continue
Mhm.
from there. Okay, so with that situation, it's going to cause demand to be higher than supply.
Wonderful.
This is going to create a situation whereby we are going to have shortage because the demand
Wonderful.
far outweighs the supply. So in
Yeah.
the short term, you are going to see a shortage. But this shortage can also lead to another thing. In the long term, it's going to create prices will rise up again. That is what I see. Because one, there is shortage in the system. It means the goods available on the market will be lesser than what people are demanding for. And once this happens, it will cause price to rise again. That is what I
Wonderful. Wonderful. So yes, you are perfectly right. So you see, anytime.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I think in simple, we just say that demand is high and the supply is low, isn't it?
Who is speaking, please?
This is Randolph.
Hey, today we using iPhone, so.
Oh, okay, sir. Let me change my name. This is Randolph.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. Demand is high and the supply is low.
Yeah, you are right. So, like
Yes, sir.
Dimanche mentioned, over here there will be what? Shortages, because demand exceeds supply. So in the short term, supply buyers are jubilating. We are happy. Prices are low. Prices are low. Prices are low. But what will happen? Because the suppliers are not interested in lower prices, so they will supply less. And then demand is or has exceeded supply. So in the long run, there will be what we term as what black market. So suppliers will not supply all their items. So if you need the items, you need to go behind the market. You do business behind the normal market. So instead of paying 20 cedis, assuming the equilibrium price was 20 cedis, and then the price decreased from 20 cedis to 15 cedis. And then because suppliers are not interested, they will reduce the quantities they want to supply. Okay. And then a lot of people will be queuing for the product. And because you cannot get it, you need to go behind the market, black market. And then you'll be paying, in the long run, prices will increase far above the original equilibrium price. So price will go beyond the 20 cedis, the equilibrium price, original 20 cedis. So if you need a product, people will tell you, hey, Charlie, I bought mine at Taifa. It is 50 cedis. So if you need it, then you have to take this number, call that person. And then they will tell you there's another supplier here at Kaswa. It is 70 cedis. And because you need the item, you move all the way to Kaswa to go and buy the product for 70 cedis. Okay, so this is dangerous. This is dangerous. Okay, so that is that for today. I am done. Next week we'll continue. But as I said, expect your mid-semester question today, and then next weekend is I think activity, self-study. So you have an activity to actually handle, and that's it. So if there are no questions, I have to join the master session.
Hello, Doc. My hand
Hello,
is
sir.
actually.
Go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Doc. Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
my question is. Yeah, hello, Doc.
Go ahead, Nee.
Okay, so my question is regarding what we just did. Can we use the dollar as a classical example? Because you see that sometimes the dollar on the market is more than what people are demanding.
Okay.
And so it creates a situation whereby, there is excess or surplus. But at a point in time, this surplus also reverses then the dollar goes up again because more is demanded than what is available on the market.
Yeah, yeah. So now the dollar is I don't remember the last time I checked because I can't say it here. You see, I'm into some business, and you see, and I made a lot of huge losses 2-3 months ago. So I don't trade the
11
dollar.
cities, sir.
So now look at 11 cities. Go to these commercial banks, ask them you want to buy dollars, and see their reaction. You just go and ask and see their reactions. Because at that point, they don't want to, they have the dollars, but they don't want to release it. You get it? So that is the situation. Now, when the rate came down, generally people were happy. But if you really want to get the dollars, it is not as easy as we may think. Unless you go to this, Abochi guys. And over there, the rate is not the same as, has been published by the Bank of Ghana. It's not the same. They will tell you, this is what we are doing. It is not the same as they do want it. And because you want it, you even pay higher than what it used to be. Okay. So that is the situation when some of these things happen. And as a procurement person, you need to understand it. That, pushing for lower prices. Sometimes we say that, let's negotiate for lower prices. Let's do this. You need to go into it very well, because the implication could be dire if you do not properly, assess the situation. It's going to be dire. I think I saw additional hand somewhere.
Yes, sir. So it's Emmanuel.
Hey, Emmanuel again. Okay, go ahead.
So, sir, with regards to what you just explained, in this situation, how does the market correct itself when there is shortage or when there is a surplus?
So the markets will, eventually they will say that the water will eventually find. Will just step in. Okay, so there will be a regulator. Government will step into systems in place. But if you don't want any influence, and it's difficult to say that you don't want any influence on the market. If the forces itself can correct itself, that is fine, but it will not happen. So there has to be a situation where regulator, maybe a government, agency will come and say that let us do this. Like, Sam George's case. I think last year they said that the DSTV subscription was a bit high. So they were pushing for this. And then it happened. And for some time now, once I pay for a compact, I enjoy Compact Plus. Or am I paying for Compact Plus? No, I think 380 or so. You see, so somebody yes, the leaders of the society or country will have to step in to, stabilize the situation. Okay, we need to enforce it. We need to enforce it. Because in terms of banks, there's a regulator. Which institution regulate banks in Ghana? So the regulator needs to ensure that the banks are complying. If people need the dollars, they get it at what the rate that has been published by the Bank of Ghana. And that is the only way, because people willingly will not do it. So a regulator would have to step in to resolve the situation.
Right. Sir, my last question.
Okay.
So can a market remain disequilibrium for how long? Or let me put it in this way: for how long can markets remain in disequilibrium?
It depends. We can't say 6 months, can't say 1 year. It depends. So like the dollar situation we are just explaining, it depends on how long the leaders, would think they would have to step in. You know, some leaders are proactive. Okay, so they anticipate the situation ahead. They will say that, okay, so this is what we are doing, and this is the measures we are putting in place. But others are relaxed. They will just introduce the policy, and then they will not see to it that the policy is what implemented. In that case, disequilibrium will persist for a very long time.
So you
Okay, so anytime you introduce a policy, go ahead.
I just wanted to finish this one. I have a last follow-up question. So just finish on this one.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, in that case, per the explanation, what are the causes? I mean, the
Charlie, my time is up.
Okay, so then I'll leave the question. I'll ask next week. I mean, when we meet again.
Causes of what? Disequilibrium.
Yeah, I mean, per what you've explained, for when I asked about how long a market can remain disequilibrium for a long time, and I'm asking what are the conditions that causes for this to happen.
Hey, Emmanuel, my time is up. Okay, so
okay, so then you
maybe we can just let's reserve this question for next weekend. Okay, but briefly, hold on. I'm just taking attendance. I'm just taking a screenshot of members present. Hey, Mod Ankara. This is the first time I'm seeing Mod Ankara. Meet next weekend. Bye-bye.
So I'm here.
Bye, sir.
Oh,
Bye.
Bye-bye.